Past Politics 101B Symbolism of the U.S. Great Seal. If a picture says 1,000 words, we can tell very much even from a simple symbol. The Great Seal of the United States Democratic Republic, designed by its founders who drafted the Constitution for its government, is meant to symbolize a great many images in a small, concise form. Although we see it every day on money nowadays, its symbolism seems to mean very little to most of us, although it was designed to mean very much by those who drafted it. However, as we have seen, the U.S. Great Seal is only one image, potentially symbolic of Satan as the demiurge or anti-god, out of hundreds and thousands of others that can be seen to stand for the thoughts of different groups at different times. Thus, what we can learn from the U.S. Great Seal, we must see in historical context, and only of being true from the point of view of those who created it, that is, the founders of the United States Democratic Republic form of government. So, to study the Great Seal of the United States, we begin by examining the front side of it first, and by studying the symbolism of its imagery in both historical, religious, and political context. To begin examining the front side of the Great Seal, we study the image of the bald eagle in flight, behind the American flag shield, gripping in one talon a quiver of arrows, and in the other a branch of olive leaves, and holding in its beak a banner reading E Pluribus Unum. The overall image connotes the aerial strength of U.S. national spirit in the form of the national bird behind the American flag shield. The head of this image of the bald eagle on the front of the U.S. Great Seal augments this assessment of the prowess and power of this symbol of national unity in the form of an expression of military might. Its expression of stern severity is unmistakable in its grim visage. However, at the back of the bald eagle's head, there is one tousled feather messily on his head. This is where the mysterious origins of this symbol begin being implied. The upright feather on the dorsal crest of a bird of prey's fledged scalp has long represented the sole distinguishing characteristic trait of the phoenix, a mythical symbol of the firebird, the common chicken hawk falcon, or the wild turkey buzzard eagle. The head feather of the sunbird is upturned uniquely when it is meant to symbolize the phoenix, a symbol of fire from Dark Ages alchemy appropriated from Greek myths. Originally, this zoomorph in Greek myths referred to a southern hemisphere constellation, or star pattern, visible only in the southern hemisphere night sky. From Greece, the phoenix would have been the southernmost constellation visible in the southern night sky. Hence, it was symbolic of the course taken by the sun over the duration of the day, from dawn till dusk, and the apparently miraculous rebirth of the sun in the east at dawn following night when it sets in the west. The phoenix, thus, was also a symbol of death and resurrection, alike the snake that sheds its skin. In its use in Dark Ages alchemy, the phoenix was portrayed as double-headed to refer to a peculiar fable involving a full-fledged eagle and an eagle whose head feathers never grew in and who remained bald. There is much mystery that remains even now about the meanings of alchemical symbolism. However, there remain strong ties within alchemical art between the phoenix and the serpent as an Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. Despite its murky origins in alchemical symbolism during the European Dark Ages, the double-headed eagle appears again in the heraldic shield of the Habsburg family, who reigned as the Holy Roman Emperors from the end of the Dark Ages until the early 20th century, when they were unseated during World War I. The double-headed eagle appears here above the Habsburg family crest from a low-relief carving in stone. We see the same double-headed eagle in the coat of arms of the Russian Tsar Romanov's family crest. The appearance in both crests is superior to the shield of the heraldic coat of arms of the double-headed phoenix, seen here in black, indicates the alliance between the Habsburg and Romanov families that posed a threat to the power structure desired by the CFR in funding the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. At the time of the signing of the American Declaration of Independence from rule by Great Britain, the Habsburgs were seen as unpopular monarchs who supported the old world government of Papal Christendom and who had funded the Rothschild dynasty of international bankers to acquire majority shares in all holdings traded on the stock markets of Europe. The Rothschilds were seen as particularly odious to the public interest by the time of the Nazis, and this unpopular point of view on them aided and assisted in allowing the Holocaust to come about, wherein the Nazis slaughtered 6 million so-called Jews across Europe. However, at the time of the founding of America as a democratic republic by the original founding fathers who drafted the constitution of its government, the Trenchard design for the Great Seal of the U.S. showed only a single-headed eagle in mid-flight behind a shield marked by the 13 vertical red and white stripes and a horizontal blue field of the American flag. The bald eagle, as has been indicated, represented the younger or unfledged alchemical phoenix. The double-headed eagle image would appear again later in the symbol of the 33rd degree commandery of the Scottish Rite of free and accepted Masonry. The Scottish Rite came during the 19th century to supplant the British York Rite practiced by the founding fathers the century before. By the beginning of the 20th century, Scottish Rite was the dominant Masonic Rite in America. The Scottish Rite was designed around the time of the American Civil War and showed an eagle with wings lowered to signify the southern, and an eagle with wings raised, the northern, jurisdictions during the Civil War between the Northern Union and Southern rebel states. It was not until after the Civil War this image was shown as a double-headed bald eagle wearing a single crown. However, by this point, the Scottish Rite Masons had already achieved many prominent positions in the governments on both local, state, and national federal levels. The eagle on the Great Seal of the United States is essentially similar to the eagle emblazoned on the presidential seal of the executive branch of the U.S. government. Both show the same bald eagle holding arrows and olive branches behind an American flag shield, clutching a banner in its beak that reads, E pluribus unum, Latin for the saying, all for one. However, the eagle on the Great Seal, and thus imprinted on our money, possesses one trait the eagle on the presidential seal lacks. That is the presence above the eagle's head of the hexagrammatic constellation of 13 pentagrams that was added sometime following the Great Seal's original design by Trenchard in the late 1770s. This six-sided hexagram star of 13 pentagram points does not appear in the presidential seal, and is similar in shape and significance to a symbol that appears in only one other place during our modern era. On the flag of Israel, the hexagram star symbolizes the seal of King David, given to his son Solomon, who used it to design and command the building of the first temple to the Hebrew God. This temple was built in Jerusalem, in the Holy Lands, in modern-day Israeli-occupied Palestine. The reverse side of the Great Seal is also shown on the back of the U.S. $1 Federal Reserve note. The ominous emblem has come for so many to symbolize the conspiracy for a global dictatorship. the eye in the triangle above the pyramid with no capstone, was never truly a Masonic symbol, but was a symbol of the contemporary, competitive, and clandestine cult, the Bavarian Illuminati. Above and below it reads the slogan, Annuit Coeptis Novus Ordo Seclorum, meaning, Fortune favors the New World Order. Being in Latin, the language of Rome, this message may appear to have been, when conceived, a warning from our Masonic founders against the influence on American government by Catholic papal interests. The motif of the eye in the triangle atop the pyramid with no capstone is labeled at its base in Roman numerals with the year of the USA's founding. It was in this same year the Bavarian perfectibilists of Dr. Adam Weishaupt became the Illuminati and attempted to infiltrate Jacobin Masonry in order to redirect its goals from within. The eye in the triangle itself is believed to have been meant as an Illuminati symbol of God. Because the depiction of God is forbidden in Islam, believed impossible in Hebrew Judaism, and prescribed against as idolatry by Catholicism, the symbolic depiction of God in this Illuminati symbol is patently satanic, and thus shows not the universal Father God, Yehovah Allah, but only the Gnostic demiurge called Satan. Because of the prescription against painting the portrait of God were adhered to by most monotheists, it was rare to find a depiction of the Holy Father deity in art until the beginning of the Renaissance in Italy, contemporary to the late Sephardic era in Spain. This period of high arts and sciences being developed rapidly gives us this depiction by Antoniazzo Romano of God as an old Caucasoid complexioned man with a long gray beard. Above his head is a triangular halo symbolizing Catholic Trinitarianism. In this depiction of Christ's Last Supper, called Supper at Amos, by Jacopo Carucci, called Panormo, from 1525, we see the first use of the eye in the triangle motif to symbolize the all-seeing eye of God, called since the Eye of Providence. The Eye of Providence was a commonly occurring symbol in the working craft tools of Blue Lodge York Rite Free and Accepted Masonry around the time of the founding of the U.S., the drafting of its Constitution, and the formation of its Democratic Republic government by Freemasons. Here, the Eye of Providence looks down over a host of Masonic symbols, signifying God as dominant to all the working craft tools. When Trenchard, a Freemason, designed the U.S. Great Seal for the new government of America, there was no such symbol at that time in any form of free and accepted Masonry as the eye above the pyramid below. It was seen as a new symbol meant to symbolize a new order ruled over from the new world. Thus, the Eye of Providence symbolized not God, but the conspiracy, as dominant above the great work of Freemasonry. The closest Freemasonic symbol at the time of the Great Seal's design to the proposed motif for its reverse side, the eye above the pyramid, was the beehive. During the era of the American Revolution, the York Rite held the beehive symbol to be a warning to individual Masons to avoid being a drone to the hive mind and to think for themselves. By the time of the U.S. Civil War, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry had supplanted that meaning for the same symbol with their own, which revolved around the beehive, signifying industriousness, safety in a large numbered group, strength of purpose, focus of willpower, and direction of goal. The 13 steps of the pyramid on the Great Seal are said to signify the 13 British colonies that unified to form the first states of America's Democratic Republic. The year in Roman numerals at the base is 1776, the year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. However, the capstone of the pyramid is missing in accordance with the Mason myth regarding the royal arch, and so this would signify an additional step level. The 13 stripes and 13 stars on the original American flag also symbolize the 13 American states formed from the 13 British colonies, and so we see the similar motif of 13 horizontal bars of alternating red and white on the original U.S. flag as the 13 steps up from the base of the pyramid to the top level of its missing capstone on the reverse of the U.S. Great Seal. The most Masonic trait of this originally Illuminati-influenced symbol is its design depicting sacred geometric ratios such as 1/2 and 1/3, or the harmonic and golden means. These measurements are known to date back at least as far as ancient Greece, seem to have been used in calculating the inner chambers of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, and signify an important symbol to all speculative Freemasons in the form of Euclid's 47th proposition from Book 10 of his Elements of Geometry. The ratios between the level of the pyramid's missing capstone, the base of the eye and the triangle above this, and the apex of the eye's triangle above that, form the golden ratio proportion, and this can be depicted as a spiral that reduces its size toward the pupil of the eye in the very center of the triangle. It could be this sacred geometrical ratio that is symbolically implied by the strange triple concentric rings of the iris around the pupil of the eye in the triangle on the reverse side of the Great Seal. While being particularly appealing toward Masons by incorporating these ratios, this side of the Great Seal was never meant to be seen by the eyes of uninitiates. Hence, why it is printed so small on money that it is nearly impossible to tell that the iris has 3 concentric rings. Having now examined the symbolism of the Great Seal designed by Freemasons at the time of the American Revolution, we will next begin to look at the lives of those Masons who founded the American government system as a democratic republic. The symbolism on the seal they invented for the form of government clearly does not depict the nature of a democratic republic, as we shall see in further lectures soon. Instead, the eye and the pyramid below the eagle above symbolize a Ponzi scheme, alike that proposed by Weishaupt for doubling the membership in the Perfectibilists, which was the dream of the American Freemasons who started the Revolutionary War, who were Jacobin anti-papists, but who were not Bavarian Illuminati. Here is the face of America's first president, General George Washington, who came to fame by many victorious battles during the American Revolution. Is this the face of the first dictator over America's shadow government, comprised of Freemasons working behind the scenes of public politics to achieve the Illuminati goals listed in the protocols of a single global dictator?